Hello, kidney warriors. James here from Dadvice TV, your online kidney health coach, and this is Dadvice TV Live. Now, for those of you out there joining us for the first time, welcome. Great to have you here. You're definitely going to want to subscribe to this on YouTube so you can find out whenever we're live or posting new content to help you get the best life you can while you happen to have kidney disease. Or maybe you're learning for somebody in your family or somebody you know. Great job. All right. Now, for those of you that are new, let me introduce myself. My name is James. I'm a kidney warrior. I was diagnosed with stage 5, given an awful outlook. My doctors were not very friendly or happy with my diagnosis of kidney failure, but luckily, I've proved them wrong by focusing on living healthy, eating better, staying active, working with all my doctors, and most importantly, with a renal dietitian to help me figure out what I could eat, which ended up being practically everything, how much I could eat. That was the most important thing. And it just helped me improve my overall health. And when that happened, my labs also started to improve. And today, I feel great. Now, my kidneys, they're still broken. They're still bad. There is no fixing your kidneys. But there are things you can do to slow down the progression of kidney disease and reduce the burden you place on your kidneys so that they work better for you, even though they're damaged. Now, tonight is going to be a very interesting night. We're kind of going to do an open Q&A with one of our favorite renal dietitians. So if you have a question, we are live right now. My watch says 7:02 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're here live, type your comments in the questions. Look at this. We got Craig. Hey, Craig, great to have you here with us again. Type your questions. We're going to try to get to as many of them as possible. Now, remember, we're not doctors. We cannot replace your doctor. We're not treating you. We're not diagnosing you. We're just helping share our experience and what we've learned to help people live better with kidney disease. Now let's go ahead and let's get over to my host. Please welcome, you guys know her, you guys love her, from Plant Powered Kidneys, renal dietitian Jen Hernandez. Hey, Jen.
Hi, James. Hey, everybody. So, as always, excited to be back chatting with you guys tonight, and I'm super excited for our Q&A that we have planned. This is one of my absolute favorite things to do. We do this in our Plant Powered Kidneys course, and I'm bringing it here with you all tonight with James, and I'm thrilled to be here. So if you have never seen me before, if you don't know who I am, my name is Jen Hernandez, and I am the renal dietitian and founder behind Plant Powered Kidneys. So Plant Powered Kidneys came from me working in dialysis as a dietitian and hearing over and over again people say, I wish I did something different to take care of my kidney health so that I wouldn't be on dialysis like this. And it was from that, hearing that over and over and over, and seeing so many people come into dialysis with this deer in headlight look, that I decided to create Plant Powered Kidneys. And we started by sharing on Facebook and Instagram these tips and ideas of how to protect kidney health. And we serve our clients and our students both in the US and internationally to help protect their kidney function. We have a ton of free resources. We have free meal plans. We have meal plans for purchase. We have our course. We have our one-to-one work. And of course, we have all of our blogs and articles and resources on the plantpoweredkidneys.com website. So you definitely should go check out everything we have to offer, because it is innumerable, the amount of things that we have there. And we really want to help protect kidney health across the world. We want to do our part in showing that nutrition has such an impact and so much power in kidney health. I know a lot of people say they hear this term or this phrase from their doctors, especially in early stages. Their doctors will say, oh, you're only stage 3. You don't have anything to worry about, because they have a lot of people who are more ill, and you're not that ill, so it doesn't matter. It's not that it doesn't matter. It's that they don't have necessarily the tools that can be used to protect kidney health. And that's where nutrition and diet come in. And for us as renal dietitians, That is our superpower. That is what we're here to do, and to educate and support you. So, oh, and our free Facebook group. I almost forgot to mention that. I myself just
I was
jumped in
just
there
about
because
to
I
remind you. I was like, oh, all the great things, the photos, the food, and all that's in there.
Yeah, well, I was telling you just before we came on, I finally made my own page for Facebook. I had been using our Plant Powered Kidneys Facebook page to jump in and comment, and I was like, you know what, I should probably have my own. So, so I did it. I finally joined my own group, even though I was technically in there from the start. I am also in the group for Plant Powered Kidneys, and it's a free Facebook group, and people share recipes and ideas, and we have a weekly Q&A thread in there as well, where we will give you answers and provide support and resources. I mean, it's just we provide a lot, and we're climbing up to 8,000 people in the group, so you are not alone. There are a lot of people out there just like you that are looking to find ways to protect their kidney health and do so by eating better.
Now, what if not everyone's like me telling the whole world about kidney disease? What if they don't want everyone to know they have kidney disease?
Well, you absolutely can just be a fly on the wall. And I've had actually plenty of my clients tell me how much they love the group, but they just kind of sit back. And I actually find that a lot of our private clients, the ones who work with us one to one, they use the Facebook group in a different way compared to people in our course or compared to people who are just only in the Facebook group. But you can absolutely just come on in and sit there, and you can get the notifications, you can see all the posts. You do not have to, you are not required to post anything. So we do honor some confidentiality of sorts in which we're not going to highlight you.
And it's a private group, so if you're worried about your employer stumbling upon it, the only people that are going to stumble upon it are other kidney warriors like yourself, which is great.
Hmm.
All right. Now, one of the things we're probably going to talk a bit about this today, in between all the comments, and I already see a few questions coming in, is it's May. May is OK month, which is potassium awareness month. Can you talk a little bit about that while people are typing in their own questions?
Yes. So May is Potassium Awareness Month, and May 1st is High Potassium Awareness Month because it's 5.1. And we're looking at potassium ranges to be in the 3.5 to 5 range. Over 5 can be considered high potassium. But I want all of you to know that a high potassium is not a lifelong diagnosis. Just because you have high potassium once does not mean it will continue to happen. And it also doesn't mean that you should be cutting out potassium foods in your diet. I'm going to repeat that because it's super important. You should not be cutting foods out of your diet because of a high potassium lab. This needs to be checked and double checked. And what really needs to happen is an analysis of what's going on to cause the high potassium. The kidneys are responsible to take care and filter the potassium from our blood. And with kidney disease, there's less kidney function, but there are other things in play, like our gut health, that also have to do with regulating our potassium. And if you don't have a healthy gut, it's going to be harder for potassium to be balanced. If you have higher blood sugars, if you have diabetes, that could be a potential cause behind the potassium. And if there's a high potassium, that could be related to it. So it's not just automatically cut down potassium. 98% of Americans don't get enough potassium in their diet to begin with. Most of us are on a potassium restriction just because we're not eating enough of it. So check to see how much potassium you're eating first, and then look further into what could be causing it. Don't just take it as a blanket statement of you have kidney disease, you have high potassium, cut foods out of your diet. That does not always make sense. In some cases, it might be true, but not all the time.
Yep. And I'm one of those rare people where keeping my potassium low for the most part is extremely easy. I even take
Hmm.
at times medication to hold on to potassium so that I can keep it high enough. Um,
Yeah.
and for a short period of time, my potassium was extremely high. And we got that taken care of, looking at what I ate, tracking it in an app on my phone, figuring out I was eating way too much because, oh my goodness, I loved potatoes, bananas, avocados. I could put all those together and make a meal. And then it just got to where, hey, I don't overdo it. And now I still get to enjoy all those things. And my potassium, for the most part, stays nice and in the right range.
Yep, and that's perfect. And there are so many people who do need to have more potassium. I can't tell you the number of clients that I've had that we've been pushing that up. They come in, we do a diet analysis, we look to see what they're eating, how much potassium they're eating, and I start to get them to eat more potassium because potassium is incredibly important. There's a reason that it's on nutrition labels, and that reason is not because people are eating too much. It's because people aren't eating enough, and more people need to be eating more potassium. So we talk about how to do that in a safe and healthy way so that it does the things it's supposed to do, like help your blood pressure, which is incredibly important for kidney health too.
Yeah, and Marilyn has a question. What is the name of your Facebook group again?
So you can search plant powered kidneys on Facebook. And I even put like in parentheses for the title, free to join. That way there's no confusion about it. You just got to click on there, request to join the group, and you do need to answer the questions. I basically just want to make sure we're not getting those, spammy bots to come in. So make sure you answer the questions, agree to the group rules, and you will automatically be in you'll be in the Facebook group, and you'll be able to see things right away, jump in, comment, and ask questions.
Now, one of the things that I learned kind of the hard way was the importance of managing what I eat. And what's kind of cool is I have 100% control over that. I get to pick what I buy at the grocery store. If I'm going out, what am I eating? What am I ordering? How much am I eating? How much am I taking home in a to go? I have 100% control, which is fantastic. And that has been extremely helpful. And working with a dietitian has been, in my opinion, the number one thing for me, learning how to eat and not being afraid of food. Now, that's something, as we both know, a lot of doctors don't really encourage until a person's pretty far along, but it it can help them much earlier. When should a person maybe consider talking to a dietitian?
Oh, so disclaimer, I am a dietitian and I'm incredibly biased for this, but
And I'm going to give my answer
I,
after you, and I think mine will be even stronger
okay.
than yours, and I'm not biased.
Well, so the top two causes of kidney disease are high blood pressure and hypertension. Or sorry, high blood pressure and high blood sugars or diabetes. So even without having kidney disease, a person who has those health issues would qualify or would benefit to see a dietitian because the more you hone in on those and take care of those earlier on, the more complications you can prevent, the more preventive the care is, rather than the other side of it where it's been a long time coming, there's been a lot of issues, and now we're trying to do the best we can to manage the situation, but we're not necessarily going to see the kinds of improvements that we would see for somebody who was really like before CKD or very early. I've worked with people who are stage 1, stage 2, a lot of stage 3, and I mean, it's so incredible the types of results that you can see when you go in that early. And, something I mentioned when we first jumped on today is that how doctors will say, oh, it's not a big deal. Everything's okay. You have nothing to worry about. It's because a lot of their patients are people on dialysis with kidney failure and a lot of health issues, a lot of complications, really, really tough cases. And in those situations, somebody on dialysis, they do have a dietitian, at least here in the US, that they can work with. It's part of the Medicare and Medicaid requirements that a dietitian is in the clinic and available to dialysis patients. But in those earlier stages, there's no requirement for that. And it's also not something that's top of mind for a lot of healthcare providers because we're not in the most traditional type of job. I mean, they see dietitians in the hospital or in dialysis. They don't think of us necessarily as preventive care. But any early stage is going to be incredibly beneficial. And I would almost say the results are going to be that much better because of all the opportunities we have. All of the things that we can do and we can try in those earlier stages when it's not so fragile, when it's not in stage 5 getting ready for dialysis. And we have to be super careful with a lot of different nutrients in the diet. We have to watch out for potassium and phosphorus and sodium and protein. Whereas in the earlier stages, we might only have one or two of those things to really focus on, and the other ones are like, don't worry about it. It's not an issue for you. We don't need to focus on it, which can be really helpful and less stressful. So for anybody that is out there thinking, oh, it's too early for me, I'm fine, I don't need a dietitian, even just a couple sessions, even something to get an overview of your diet, get an overview of your labs. That's one of the things we do with our private clients is we look at your labs and we give an explanation of the trends that we're seeing. And we're looking at the nitty gritty details of, okay, your sodium, or not sodium, your bicarbonate's coming down. So we need to focus on some more of, X, Y, and Z to help boost that up. Or we want to look at your albumin because that's going to tell us inflammation and all kinds of different things. There are plenty of opportunities. So don't wait, because opportunities turn into just kind of managing things, which not everybody's thrilled about.
Yep. Oh, I love that answer. And I was going to add to it, it's never, ever too early. Even my kids, my wife and I are very careful now. We're trying to instill good eating habits into them so that they can stay healthy throughout their life and not have the challenges that we have from our bad eating habits. And every time I visit a renal dietitian, or any dietitian, but since my kidneys are so bad, it's a renal dietitian. Every single time I learn something that makes life that much better, that gives me more variety, more ideas. And what's great about working with a dietitian is it's not like your doctor. You go and you get some medication, you take it for a little bit, you see him again, he tweaks them, none of that. This is hey, you go, you visit, you're discussing things, you're working together. You're actually, it's almost like instant progress. You're learning stuff that you can implement as soon as you get home. And if I never visited any dietitian ever again, I would be okay. But I enjoy going in there because I'm going to get some new stuff. And my dietitian always has samples of stuff of all the companies that are sending stuff. She'll say, hey, I think this will make a good snack. Here's some samples. Try them. Let me know what you think, if they're any good or not. And it's just a great experience. And like you said, we're catching things earlier when it's easier to take care of things, not as complicated or sensitive. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to bring us a question. Someone says, where do you get that awesome water bottle? Hey, let me tell you guys, people ask me about this all the time. It is a Camelback from Target.
Camelback.
I absolutely love this because this thing is magnetic, and when I drink, the lid doesn't flip over, which is fantastic. Holds 52 ounces. So I just drink 3 of these throughout the day. Right now, this is some blended up black cherries and a little bit of lemon juice in there. Oh, it's delicious. So sweet. So that answers that question. Let me pop in here some more. Francis asks, she must have stage 3. She says, can stage 3 be reversed? So how do you answer that question?
Well, this is definitely something to discuss with your doctor to figure out what is going on with your kidney function. The idea of reversing kidney disease it's kind of hard to say, because you can what I say is protect your kidney health, and we can never guarantee any type of reversing or going from this stage to this stage, because if we did, we would have cured kidney disease if we could guarantee that. So I, I want to say I have seen so many times, even right before the live today in our Facebook group, somebody was posting about how their kidney function has improved so much and they've been doing really well. Now, can we say it's reversed? Probably not, but we can see it as maybe CKD is well managed, or CKD is controlled, or CKD is stable. That's really what I hear quite often, is the term stable, as in like it's not going crazy. It's not going haywire. It's not going down. It's stable. So we just have to keep an eye on things. And I don't want people to think of it being reversed in like you do a quick diet fix and then the numbers improve and then you go back to eating the way you did, or then you can just like kind of forget about CKD, you forget about your labs and you don't need to pay attention to it. That's really not how it works. You do need to stay on top of it. Even like diabetes, the idea of diabetes being reversed is kind of controversial because it's more so that the blood sugars are very well controlled and that the insulin is working well and that the body is taking in sugars. It's not necessarily reversing. It's just, which is a good thing. It's a good thing for the medical world. You know, when I was first a dietitian, I worked in the hospital setting, and somebody comes into the hospital from being really sick, and I want to know their medical history. And it would make a really big difference on how I would treat my patient if I knew they had a history of kidney disease or if they had a history of diabetes. If it was like taken off, like, oh, no, not a problem anymore, don't need to worry about it, I would have a different approach to things. But it could be really, really important to understand what that person has gone through, what their body has gone through, so that I would be looking at it from a different lens. So that's kind of my dietitian perspective of it. I'm just not a really big fan on the term reverse because I feel like people, they have these expectations that are not there.
Yeah, and one thing I don't like are the stages.
Mhm.
Stage three, first of all, covers a whole wide range of things, and Frances didn't give us her age. She could be a GFR of 50 and 95 years old. That's not, doctors won't consider that kidney disease,
Right.
especially if there's, no other underlying serious issues, even at that age. I like to focus on how I feel and my energy
Yeah.
level and my labs. And, just to share some personal experience, my kidneys are considered stable. They fluctuate between stage three and stage four, that lower end of stage three, top of stage four, that is considered stable. I honestly don't care about what my estimated GFR is. I look at what's my BUN? Is it under control? My uric acid level, is that under control? Everything else that I can influence through diet,
Mhm.
exercise, and medication are those things within the standard range. And I feel great. And Francis, I could go on for decades where I am. I'm in my 50s now. I could get to my 80s still feeling the way I am, still having all this great energy before things start to go, get worse. Now, it could actually happen sooner, but there's no guarantee. So don't focus too much on the stage. Just because you're stage three doesn't mean you are going to be stage four. Um, Live healthy, be healthy, do healthy things to give future you the best chance of having your energy and feeling great. So hopefully that helped her. I saw a question about salt I want to get on here. So here we got one. Salt. Is Himalayan salt good to use on food instead of iodized salt?
Ooh, okay. So, um, it's it's a great option to be using salt, but it's not a cure all. It's not going to be a magic replacement or solution in the diet because it's still salt. So, the way that it's a little bit different is the mineral balance in it. And there's more minerals in Himalayan salt, which includes sodium. There's a little bit less sodium compared to like table salt or the iodized salt, but it's not very significant. And actually, when you compare it by the different volumes, we have an article on plantpoweredkidneys.com about this specific topic about which salt is best for kidney patients. Because there's a lot of different types of salts, and a lot of people think, oh, if I just do this kind or this kind, it's going to be better. And we even used to see that and think, okay, sure, try that out and maybe that can be helpful. And now it's like, well, it's still salt, and if you're adding it to your foods, that's probably not the biggest area that you're getting salt in the diet. What's actually more important to look at are the canned or packaged or processed foods. And one of the ones that is the most astounding that people don't really think twice about is bread. bread can be incredibly salty. And more often than not, even though the serving on a loaf of bread says one slice, we're actually
No
doubling
one
that for a
folds it in
sandwich.
half and makes a
No,
sandwich.
no. And even if you do like toast with breakfast or something, it's most likely going to be two slices of toast. I don't know, maybe I'm just because like I'm a numbers person and I'm very much about like twos or threes, but that's going to be more of an impact. And there are breads out there that are like 300, 400 milligrams of sodium per slice. And then you have to double that again for like a sandwich. You can get into the 600 plus range just for the bread alone, not even counting whatever you're putting in the sandwich. So this is going to be a much bigger opportunity to take care of salt in the diet. If you want to use Himalayan salt when you're adding some salt to your food at home, I don't think that's going to be a problem. I wouldn't go out of my way and spend like a lot of extra money on any kind of particular salt. But if you like it, and if it's, I know James, you talk about using your hand crank one, if
My
it kind of makes you slow
grinder.
down.
Yeah, it makes
Yeah.
me slow down.
So
Even though we really don't use salt too much at home, it's all that prepackaged and fast food. But yeah, I use the
yeah.
grinder.
Yep. And there's a ton of different salts out there, but don't this is one of those things where people worry a lot about the details and they're looking at these nitty-gritty things because I feel like a lot of healthcare practitioners will say don't salt your food or don't add salt to your food. And that's not the big damaging effect that salt has. It's coming from the breads, from rolls, from tortillas. It's coming from canned soup, sometimes canned vegetables that aren't low sodium or no added salt. Any prepackaged, even like the ones that are plant-based meals that look like they'd be a great option because there's a lot of vegetables. Sometimes they add a ton of salt in there and they can be like really, really
So
high.
much. The Impossible Burger,
Yeah.
which Burger King talks about. I think it's I want to say 820 milligrams for a patty
Right.
of just the Impossible Burger. Then you got your 110 per bread thing. Any other toppings you add on there? Holy cow! You quickly think you're eating
Yeah.
healthy because it's plant based, and there's just sodium, sodium, sodium all stacking
Yep.
up.
Yep. So long story short, Himalayan could be a good option as far as like a salt choice at home, but don't think that that's going to be the number one solution. That's not what I would recommend right off the bat. If we were to look at your diet, then we would be able to hone in on particular things. And that's where I ask my clients, like, what brand is this? How much of this? How often do you have this? We do a pantry review. One of our first sessions after our initial session, we do a pantry review, and all of our sessions are virtual. So they just hold their tablet or their laptop or their phone up to their pantry, and I'm looking through their camera and I'm like, what's that? Bring that up to me. Show me what's there. So we do a lot of that to really dive deep into what is in their kitchen because we store foods in our pantry that we use over and over again. So take a look at your pantry, see what is in there, just do some label checks. Where is the sodium hiding and how often are you using those things? So think about that.
Yep. And I'll tell you, when I first was diagnosed, I went super mega nerd on everything. I was like, okay, I'm going to find the best source of salt possible on earth. And I was talking to people, I was researching it. And, there are slight differences. This has a little more iron, a little more of this, a little more of that. But what I learned in the end, and it took me a long time to realize this and accept it, is the differences are so minor in which type of salt I use.
Mhm.
What matters is how much sodium is in the stuff you're buying, the prepackaged stuff, cutting out the fast food. If I travel or if I'm going to be really busy, like this week, I am launching something new at work. I am so busy. So I bought some meals that I can quickly cook up during the day because I work from home for my lunch. But I looked on the back, boom, I have to find some that have a reasonable amount of sodium. There are no quick
Mhm.
meals that you can prepare that are really low sodium. It's lower. But I
Yeah.
looked and I found some stuff and I'm being careful. I'm like, okay, I'll have that for lunch. And then for dinner, I'll just make sure, I'm not going too much? Because for me, my sodium limit, I stick in that 1,500 milligram a day,
Hmm.
just to be super extra good for my heart. Some people may have a little bit more of a buffer, but yeah, it's not the type of salt. It's really where is the sodium you're consuming coming from. All right, so we
Hmm.
have tons of questions coming in. Uh, can you talk a little bit about insurance? This is an important. We actually did a show about this probably a year or two ago. Can you talk about insurance and dietitians?
Yes. So, some dietitians do accept insurance. There's several different types of insurances. The private ones, so we think of like Blue Cross Blue Shield or Cigna or Aetna, those are run by the state. So it's going to be different for somebody in Texas compared to somebody in California, compared to somebody in Michigan. So check with your insurance provider in those regards based on the state. Medicaid is also a state run insurance program, and that one is for people of low income or certain qualifying factors that can be approved. And then there's Medicare. Medicare is for people, I believe it's over 65, or they have certain health conditions, including kidney disease. Not every, I believe it's end stage kidney disease for people on
Yeah.
dialysis. Most of my dialysis patients would have Medicare, and then they'd have a secondary insurance like Blue Cross Blue Shield or Medicaid or something else. But the health insurance companies are the ones who will determine who gets to see a dietitian, how many sessions a person gets. I mean, they basically decide, they call all the shots. We do not take insurance at Plant Powered Kidneys because I like to see people for results. I like to work with and take care of people doing things that are outside of what health insurance will cover. Like we do meal plans, we do custom meal plans, we provide recipes, we do all kinds of things. We do a micronutrient test for many of our private patients, private clients, things that aren't always going to be covered by health insurance. So we do all of it out of network, and a lot of our clients will get they can request what's called a super bill, which is essentially a medical receipt that has the documentation of the things that we've done. And then the insurance company decides what and how much to reimburse the person for. And that's totally up to them. But there are dietitians that do take insurance, and you'll want to check with your health insurance provider to see who is in your network. We do have an article on Plant Powered Kidneys that walks you through that of who to contact for your health insurance, the questions to ask, even certain codes that dietitians use that you can reference. So we have a whole step-by-step guide on Plant Powered Kidneys because even though we don't take insurance, we want everybody to see a dietitian in whatever capacity they can, whatever way they can. And by us giving that as a free guide, we hope that we're helping people who are using their insurance to see people.
Yeah, and I use when I need to my health savings account, my little credit card that I put pre-tax
Mm-hmm.
dollars on. And for those of you out there, your family doctor may be able to code a referral to get insurance to at least cover a few visits to a dietitian. So give your doctor a chat. Mine, I got a lot of them covered because of my weight. I can't gotta lose weight. Working with a dietitian is a great way to help that. Pre-diabetic, working with dietitians, a great way to learn how to eat better so I don't end up diabetic. And he was able to code things to get me into a dietitian and get, I would love to say those things under control. That my weight, we got COVID and it kind of boomeranged back here and stuck to me. All right, here's another great question from Alicia. I hope I pronounced that right. Um, what about probiotics? We talked about gut health, and she's saying, can she take a probiotic and does it matter?
Well, there are some that are specifically aimed towards people with kidney issues because they focus on the uremic toxins, the waste that come from the kidneys or that the kidneys aren't able to handle. Let me say that. Um, and the one that you and I have talked about a lot, James, is Renadil. Yeah.
Which I
So we have
take.
definitely, yeah, we've referenced that. There are other that are non-kidney related, but can still be really good. For me, I look at every client individually, and I will either recommend, depending on what their situation is, I'll recommend the kidney specific one, or I might recommend a different type depending on what's going on with their gut health. Because not everybody, this is not an assumption that everybody should be on a probiotic, because there are certain gut issues that a probiotic would cause more problems than good. So you want those things to be addressed. If you take a probiotic and you're not feeling good, that could be a sign that you are not in a place where your body should be taking a probiotic, and you want to go see a gut health specialist, a gastroenterologist, or even a dietitian who specializes in gut health, to have that addressed before you start a probiotic. So whatever I choose for my clients, I always recommend at least 90 days on it, unless they have one of those reactions where it's like not working out. But we always do 90 days minimum, because it's like cultivating a garden. You are growing a garden inside of healthy bacteria, and that takes time. So it's not an overnight change. It's not overnight results. You do need to commit to it for a while to see how things are going. And if it's not working out the way you think it is, then you try a different one, and you do that for 90 days and you see how it goes there. So whatever it is, make sure you stick to it and give yourself time, because it will take time to get any kind of result. And it might not be the result that you expect. A lot of people I've seen on social media or wherever, they think, oh, well, I took a probiotic and my function's the same, or my function got worse, or something like that. But this is only a piece of the whole puzzle. This is only one thing. We have diet, we have exercise, we have sleep, we have stress, we have inflammation, we have medications, we have so many other areas of opportunity, that this is just taking care of one little aspect in one of the categories, and we can't expect that it's going to just totally fix everything.
And related to that, Mary asked, how do you know if your gut's unhealthy?
Well, that's a really good question. Typically, the first thing I will talk with my patients about is that how often are they going to the bathroom? How often are they having a bowel movement? And if they have anything like bloating or indigestion or upset stomach or nausea or vomiting, I mean, our gut, it's not just the actual gut like the stomach. This is the intestine, this is the stomach, this is our throat, our esophagus, even our mouth, our whole digestive system. If there's anything going on there, it can affect our digestive health in general, which can affect the kidneys too. So we want to look at all of those different pieces to see if anything is funky. If you're only having a bowel movement like once every 2 or 3 days, that's not typically normal. Typically, people are having at least one or more bowel movements per day. So if you're not experiencing that much, because if you think about it, like we're eating multiple times a day, we have waste to get rid of. So the question is the body efficiently getting rid of them? So that's where taking a probiotic might help, because the healthy bacteria can then help facilitate that gut movement. It can help with breaking down nutrients. It can help with even creating nutrients. Our healthy bacteria are responsible for creating things in our system as well. So a probiotic can help with that. But if there's anything that's going on that's funky for you, that's a good opportunity to address it with your healthcare team, with your doctor, with your dietitian, whoever you need to address it with, to find out what's going on, so that it can be one less thing to stress about and one more thing to protect your kidney health.
Yeah, and you pretty much just answered Alicia's question of what does a probiotic do for a CKD patient. And I just wanted to add a little bit to that. A probiotic like Renadil, this is specifically designed, kind of engineered for kidney patients. The way I like to think about it is there's certain things in your gut that end up getting absorbed in your blood, and then your kidneys got to filter it. These are like little baby Pac-Mans, and they gobble up some of that, so there's less of this bad stuff to get absorbed in your blood. Instead, it just passes in your poo. So you're kind of pooping out more of the bad stuff,
Yeah.
and reducing some of the burden to place in your kidneys. But as Jen had mentioned, just one thing is not enough to make a difference. It's everything you're doing. Someone could say, hey, I'm doing everything, but they're still smoking half a pack of cigarettes a day. You know, Stopping that plus doing all those good things could be helpful, but these are not going to undo bad habits, bad eating, or not taking your medication or things like that. It's just one more little thing to help you be another step closer to being healthier with kidney disease. Hopefully that
Mm-hmm.
helped answer her question. There's one here I would definitely, or two I want to get to real quick. John asked, besides water, I added that, what is okay to order from Starbucks coffee wise?
Okay. Well, I am definitely a Starbucks person too, but we need to be careful of some of the things that are there that are very high in sugar, high in fat, not really kidney protective. So, one of the things that I think is super easy to do is if you like any type of their lattes or their, think of like the milk based things where it's a lot of milk and then the espresso. Think of it making it as a coffee drink or as an iced coffee drink so that the majority of your drink is actually coffee and not milk. Or you could also switch to their almond milk. I don't recommend their oat milk because last I checked, there are phosphates in the oat milk and also potassium additives too, if I'm not mistaken. But you want to be careful with the plant milks that they have because they might have additives. So just be cautious, be aware of that. And milk does have quite a bit of potassium and phosphorus in it, which is another reason why I would recommend switching over to a coffee based option. And then see if you can ask them, what I do a lot of times is ask them for just half the sweetener that they use. And that will give me a little bit of that flavor, but it won't be as much sugar because they can be really, really high in sugar, which is not good for our kidneys, not something we want to be in the habit of. And they have plenty of different herbal teas, which can be really great as well. Those I think are always a good go to. They're refreshers, except the one with starfruit in it, because starfruit is not good for kidneys. For anyone with kidney disease or kidney damage of any kind, starfruit is a neurotoxin that the kidneys won't be able to take care of if they're not doing very well. So no starfruit. That's the one thing that we always say, like, please do not have this. But there are plenty of other options like the tea refreshers or the tea and lemonades or an iced coffee. Their nitro cold brews are good. There's a lot of good things.
Yeah, I have not been to Starbucks since my diagnosis. I used to get a venti caramel macchiato extra extra caramel. Those are big giant pumps. It's like this much sugar, this much coffee.
Yeah,
Oh, it was
yeah,
delicious.
it
By the
is.
time you're done with the coffee, just slowly the caramel comes out. Oh my
Mm.
goodness, not good at all. All right, so Miss Jen Reeds has a fantastic question here. First of all, she's a kidney donor. Awesome. Congratulations. Awesome of you.
Wow.
Helping somebody else live a great life by donating a kidney. Awesome. Should she be following a low protein diet like she reads all over the internet?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. I mean, first of all, thank you for donating a kidney. That is a huge, literally life-saving gift. So that's just absolutely incredible. Um, when it comes to a low protein diet, we are focusing on low protein for people in the later stages of kidney issues. So depending on how your kidney is doing, you may or may not need that. So as long as you still have regular function, which a person who is going through that process of donating a kidney will have a lot of tests. I've been to several transplant discussions and we look into this and talk about it a lot. The transplant coordinators, the transplant centers are actually really focused on the person donating. They're kind of their number one priority because you don't want to harm somebody in the process of trying to provide that kidney. So they really are hypercritical. If you pass all of those tests to be able to donate your kidney, they have said your kidneys are in really good shape and we do not foresee you having kidney issues. But I know things happen and maybe something does happen. In that case, definitely be reaching out to your healthcare provider and find out, okay, what do I need to do to protect the kidney I have left? What do I need to do to keep it safe? It may or may not include that low protein diet, depending again on what stage you're at. Um, I would be first and foremost looking at how to get more fruits and vegetables into the diet, how to make sure that we're following an alkaline diet to protect the kidneys. Animal proteins, animal meat may or may not be included in that for you. That's going to be a case to case basis. And again, if you're not in a later stage, I'm not going to be looking at that as my number one focus. And then the other thing, just this kind of is bouncing around in my head from my dialysis days. For a person who donates a kidney, if God forbid anything was to happen where their kidney failed and they needed a transplant, at least from what I was told when I worked in dialysis, is that person who donated gets pushed to the top of the donor list because of their donation in the past. So you automatically, there can be a long wait, as many know, for a kidney transplant, but somebody who has donated a kidney, they get a really, really high top priority to get a new kidney, as like, a fraction of a thank you for that life-saving gift.
Yep. Awesome. Now, for Alicia, she asked, can she take Benefiber? Oh my goodness, that I practically lived off of Benefiber. Helped me get enough fiber when I first was switching off of fast food and drive-through takeout and all that. I remember those days. But what are your thoughts on a fiber additive?
Well, I personally don't ever recommend this, simply because we want to get fiber from the diet. And when you're following a plant-based diet, you are getting a good amount of fiber. You are getting that adequate 25 to 28 grams per day. So we don't need that supplement to give you the fiber. If you find that you do need a fiber supplement, my question would be looking back at your diet of, where are we missing opportunities to get you more fiber in the diet? And this also kind of ties in with the very beginning of our talk about potassium, that people fear potassium. They think they can't have a lot of it, so they cut out all of these potassium-rich foods, which actually also have fiber. So if you're reducing these potassium and fiber-rich foods, you might not be getting enough fiber in the diet. But again, that's not going to be the healthiest way to do it. And I don't want to be looking at a fiber supplement when there's so many good fruits, especially this time of year, so many good fruits and vegetables
and apples
that are out.
I discovered there's hundreds of kinds of apples, including one that tastes like a caramel apple. You close your eyes and you bite into it, you can taste the caramel. It's like, what in the world? And now you're eating and enjoying the food and getting the fiber instead of sprinkling it on. And oh my goodness, the gas from those, from like Benefiber and stuff like that. It's just,
I was going to say, too much there's such a thing as too much fiber, and that's not good for your gut health. So if you're eating enough fiber in your diet, you definitely, probably don't need it. Definitely talk with your healthcare practitioner, talk with your healthcare team to see if this is something you should be on. And we tell our patients, our clients this all the time. Anything you're taking over the counter or prescription, you should be running past your healthcare team to make sure that it is safe for you, because the last thing that you want is to be taking something for months or even years only to find out that you should not have been taking it, or that maybe it was harmful to your kidney health. So make sure you discuss that and get that approved if you need it.
All right, people are asking which apple tastes like caramel. I just Googled it. I find these at Kroger, Meijer, everywhere now. They're called Autumn Glory, and it will say caramel. And even my kids could not believe it. I would give it to them. I say, tell me what this tastes like. They say, there's caramel inside. It's just some engineering they do, and it tastes like there's a thin layer of caramel on the apple.
Wow.
And then you're getting your fiber. And there's so many different apples, and you're doing something. You're not just popping a pill or sprinkling some powder on stuff. I love now. I've learned, eat your nutrients. Don't rely on pills for them. Let me go in here for the question. Oh, there's so many of them. So there was someone had asked one. Oh, here it is. Marilyn, I could tell she's new to this. I wanted to get on this. If you could talk a little bit about this. Marilyn is confused about GFR and how that refers to what stage you are. So that tells me she's new to kidney disease. She's got a GFR, an estimate of how her kidneys are functioning, and how does that determine what stage she's in? Could you talk a little about that?
So your estimated glomerular filtration rate, that's a tongue twister every time. Um, that is a calculation. And the Kidney Foundation has a great calculator on their website. You can put in some other labs, but it basically is taking measurements from your waste products to see, and your height and your weight, to see what your estimated, and that's really the key word, estimated kidney filtration rate is. And from that, they look at these different stages 1 through 5, and stage 3, as you mentioned, James, is so big that it's actually 3A and 3B. So the GFR kind of categorizes people in these ranges, and it changes. I mean, if your GFR changes, which the way I also kind of reference GFR, it's like if you were to turn on your garden hose and measure how much water is coming out at that moment, and then, sometimes you get that little water bubble and that
Mm-hmm.
spit, it kind of like changes, because every single time that if you checked it 5 different times in a matter of 5 minutes, you could get different numbers for that filtration or for that flow rate every single time. And that's how the kidneys are. It's estimating how much, but when you get your lab checked, it's more likely than not going to be a different number every time. I don't think I've even come across a client or a patient that has had the same GFR. It might kind of bounce around an area for a little while, but
I've even had
it
mine
won't
done
just stay.
twice in a day, two different labs, just hours apart. Because I go to the doctor at the hospital and I get my labs done. And then I go and I see my
Mm-hmm.
family doctor, like, hey, I want to get some labs done too, just because, hey, I want to see what my
Yeah.
numbers are. Different results, two different labs, hours apart.
Yep, exactly. So just like you were saying before, James, we don't want to put a ton of weight into the GFR number. We look a lot more at your BUN. We look a little bit at creatinine. We look at your bicarbonate. We look at your albumin. We look at your potassium, your sodium. We look at so many other things to give us a better idea. And then I love when you said that you really focus on how you feel, James, because that's what we do
Mm-hmm.
for our clients too, is we always check in with how they're feeling, what their energy levels are like, and what we can do to improve how they're feeling and to improve their quality of life. The GFR may or may not change or whatever it is, but we really want you to feel good. We want you to have a lot of energy to get through your day. And that's what makes a big difference. The GFR is a number, and an ever changing one at that.
Yeah, and whether mine was 75, 55, or 35, if I feel like this, which is great, I'm
Mm-hmm.
happy. I don't
Mm-hmm.
have the extreme fatigue, the problem sleeping, none of those, all gone. I am happy. I'm trying to stay active. Need to exercise a little bit more. But yeah, I just look at how do I feel, and overall, how do my labs look? If my sodium's starting to
Yep.
get really high, okay, we're going to look at the diet. We're going to cut back a little bit there. Boom, things are taken care of. Now,
Mm-hmm.
Mark has a couple questions, and thank you for the donation, Mark. He donated $5 to ask this question. Um,
Oh, that's nice.
for you, is there a difference between, he has a few different forms of fiber, benefiber, well, some other ones I can't pronounce. Um, is there any difference between these? Are they generally the same? It looks like he's trying to help manage his blood sugar and cholesterol spikes.
Okay. I think it's acacia fiber, but um, I know psyllium husk and the Benefiber, of course, is a brand. Um, Again, I don't recommend fiber supplements like ever. I typically, if I have a patient come to me that's on a fiber supplement, I usually wean them down and take them off of it. And we look at getting fiber in their diet. So to me, it's not a matter of which supplement is better. To me, it's more of what's happening in your diet where you're not getting enough fiber. Because if you're not getting enough fiber, what are you putting in your diet? What are you eating? Because whatever you're eating is either helping or harming. It's either contributing to kidney health or it's contributing to kidney disease. And, we need to take a look more seriously at what you're eating rather than just those supplements. So I'm not familiar with the acacia fiber. Psyllium husk and benefiber, they're pretty comparable. And the thing is actually it's just fiber in general that helps with blood sugar and cholesterol. You think about like there's certain, I'm not going to name names, there's certain cereal commercials that talk about being heart healthy and help lower cholesterol levels. And the key is the fiber. That's what it is. And we know that it's not necessarily taking a fiber supplement is going to help. It's just fiber in general.
Mm.
And the great thing about getting fiber from fruits and vegetables and whole grains is that they provide other nutrients, which also help with kidney protection. It also helps with blood sugar control. It also helps with lowering cholesterol. So instead of piecemealing together different supplements to try to take care of one thing or the other, focusing on the foundation of your diet, including a lot of good nutrients, including fiber, the vitamins, the minerals, all the things that our body needs, that is going to be so much more impactful. And your money's going to go farther when you spend it on those types of foods compared to the supplement.
Yes, exactly. Eat your nutrients instead of taking them from a pill. And it took me a while to learn that, but oh, I am so happy with that. I cannot
Mm-hmm.
believe it is almost the top of the hour. Oh my
Oh my
goodness.
gosh.
Someone says, okay, looking for a doctor, what kind of questions should I ask? You have a blog about this, correct?
We do. Yeah, we talk about how to get a beneficial appointment, working with your healthcare provider, your kidney doctor, or your primary. Right off the top, that I would recommend right now. I mean, you're here watching this live with us talk about diet nutrition. I would ask the doctor, what are your thoughts on a plant-based diet? What are your thoughts on making diet changes for, stage whatever you are? And see how they respond. Are they genuinely interested and like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. I love that. I'm totally on board with the plant-based diet for you. If it lights them up and it makes them excited, I think that's a great sign that they're going to be open to more communication. And it's not going to be that, I'll say, on the other side of things, if they say, oh, don't worry about diet, it's not a big deal, it's nothing you need to worry about now. I don't want a blanket statement because there's a lot of really, really great doctors out there, but I can say that the ones who say don't worry about it now, down the road will say, what have you been doing? What's going on? Now we've got to put you on emergency dialysis. It turns into this like, they kind of throw their hands up of like, well, I don't know. So that would be my recommendation. But again, I'm pretty biased because I'm a dietitian and I'm focused on protecting kidney health. I'm focused on doing a lot more interventions in early stages. So that would be, I would ask. And then also you could ask them, do you have a dietitian that you could refer me to help me with my diet right now? And that would be another great way to see how they feel about the diet, how they feel about nutrition, how they feel about referring you. Because some of them, again, will say, you don't need to see a dietitian. So, to me, that would be a red flag.
Yeah, and I'm going to soon be relocating, and I will be looking for a new doctor. I'm hoping I can find one that will let me or record an interview with them. I
Oh, yeah.
always interview doctors when we move. Having grown up in the military, I'm used to moving a lot, and if I can get one that'll let me record it, I'll make that available so people can see the kinds of questions I ask. I like to know how they feel about, oh, you've got that. Here's a pill for it. That's not what I'm
Yeah.
looking for.
Right.
I'm looking for my current doctor. He's like, oh, that hurts. Here's the exercise you should be doing. And it always starts with, how is stress? Can you touch your toes? Bend over this way, bend over that way. Not just reaching for a bottle of pills. Speaking
Yeah.
of pills, someone asked, what's a good vitamin to take for CKD? So, they may not be aware of which options are good and which are not good. I know we only have a
Mhm.
moment. Can you briefly talk about that?
Yeah, well, this again is going to be case by case basis. There's not like one answer for everybody. Most often, I will start with recommending a B complex because a lot of people in CKD stages will have a higher likelihood of not having enough B vitamins. But the typical multivitamin, which also includes fat soluble, there's water and fat soluble vitamins. The water soluble are B, the fat soluble are A, D, E, and K. But those are typically more customized. Some people run high or low on K. Some people run low on D. Some people run high on vitamin A or vitamin E because the body stores these. So the general multivitamin, you think of just the typical like women's multivitamin, men's multivitamin, human multi, like those probably aren't going to be the best. But a B complex could be good. Again, get it checked by your healthcare provider. Make sure that you are on the right path and that they're giving you something or recommending something for you. There are quite a few kidney specific vitamins, but even those I don't always recommend right away because if somebody's in earlier stages, they may not need that right away. Or they may need a particular one that also has vitamin D in it, or it has omega-3s or something like that. There's a lot of different varieties. In general, the B complex is where I start, and then we start looking at the renal specific for late or different situations. Sometimes I'll do the B complex, and then I'll also recommend a vitamin D3 and K2 supplement. So there's going to be two kinds that we're recommending, and I'll change those doses depending on what the labs tell us and depending on how the diet is. So yeah, I think just kind of like off the top of my head, I know we have vitamin articles on the website. I even joke with the people on our email list about how it's like a micronutrient boot camp to go through all of the content that we have about vitamins on the website. But we do have a lot of information there. We have our full script, our online dispensary, which we do have several different types of vitamins that we recommend, and you can get a discount ordering there as well. So we do, I think people qualify for free shipping and 15% off if they find something that fits their needs from what we offer.
Awesome. All right. Well, we are at the top of the hour. This went by so quick. We weren't able to get to everyone's questions, but a lot of these are answered in either other videos that Jen and I have done or as a blog post on her plantpoweredkidneys.com website. There is a link to it down in the description. I encourage everyone, go to the website and do a search. She's got a great search. You could type in something like uric acid, boom, comes up. If there's an article about it, it will be there, and you can click and read it.
And our Facebook group too. We do our weekly Q&A in our Facebook group, and that's where we give a lot of information. We'll reference our articles. We'll reference different posts that we have put up. So if you join our free Facebook group, we do our weekly Q&A, and you can post your question there too.
Yep, and I will be back in 2 nights with Dr. Gibney. We're going to be talking about kidney disease. So I hope to see all of you back there. Make sure, and if you haven't done so, share the video. Give it a thumbs up. I love looking at how many thumbs up we get for the video. It's a great way to say, yay, keep making more of these, thumbs up. And it helps YouTube to recommend it to people.
It does. It helps them know that other people can benefit from this information. So it really does.
All right. Thank you so much, Jen. And thank all of you for being here tonight. And I'll see you guys all in the next video. Bye, everyone.